Welcome to my first YouTube video. This channel, I really wanted to just talk about just some sports, maybe some sports topics from ESPN or Sports Center that to me was idiotic. But most importantly, I want to talk about my favorite sports teams. And this was actually supposed to be my second video. Unfortunately, the first video files got corrupted, and I recorded that right before the wild card, planning to get that out the morning of the wild card games. So my wild card games completely got screwed over. Um, Unfortunately, so obviously I know it's gonna take a hit. Some people are not gonna understand anything, and obviously, you guys are gonna be missing out on a lot of context between why I believe these games are happening. But unfortunately, let's get to it. This is like the seventh video time filming this. Lag and corruption and just the NFL app shutting down halfway through. So let's get to the AFC games. Jesus, you don't understand the half of the story behind this video. The AFC games. I want to start with Houston and Denver, simply because I feel like this is going to be a defensive show off. Um, I don't have no notes, so I'm just shooting off the top of my head. Um, Houston is a very good team, a very good team, and I think the game that we saw against Pittsburgh kind of proved that. For I almost said Sam Darnold, for CJ Stroud to not really have a good game, but still beat Pittsburgh, who is actually really good defense. I think that defense don't get talked about enough. To go into Pittsburgh in their home on Monday night and beat them with 30 points is ridiculous. Most of those, I believe 24, no notes, but most of those points coming in the tail end of the game in the fourth quarter. Um, and CJ Stroud really didn't do a lot in that game, but their defense was so good they were able to carry them. And then New England Patriots, kind of the same thing against the Chargers. Um, their defense really carried them in that game. Uh, Stephon Diggs was almost irrelevant. Like he did not do nothing in the game. Drake May really again just was there. Um, they didn't have to do that much because their defense was just destroying the Chargers. Granted, the Chargers offensive line did have three players on that offensive line that were starting that were the bottom two ranked in the NFL. One of them was the worst ranked offensive lineman in the NFL at his position. So I would argue, I wouldn't play devil's advocate. I would argue that that Chargers win was not that impressive simply because of how bad the offensive line was. But then also, they did what they did. I mean, he might have not performed, but they won the game. So this game, I think, is going to come down to defense. Shocker, but I think C.J. Stroud has a good enough offensive line that we are not going to see what happened to the Chargers happen to them. And with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and just C.J. Stroud himself, also Dalton Schultz at tight end, the problem with the playoffs is you can have a really good game in the wild card, get to next round, stink it up, you don't win anything. And sometimes vice versa. You go to wild card, you get saved by your defense, um, or offense if you're defensive players. Then you get to the next game, and the defense that played like doo doo ends up completely coming back and carrying the team, and then vice versa. Offensive player, the quarterback, the wide receiver who did not have a good game first game of the playoffs come back and have a good game. So I think CJ Stroud's gonna have a good game here. Um, and I think I see Houston winning this. I think Houston defense is strong enough that I don't see, especially with the type of game that Stephon Diggs had against the Chargers of all teams. Like Chargers are a good defense, but nowhere near as good as the other. I would argue every single team that's left in the playoffs have better defense than the Chargers. So if the Patriots want to win a championship, they're gonna have to get it going now because the defense is just gonna get better and better and better. And then if they go to the Super Bowl, they're gonna have to run into either the Rams defense, the Seahawks defense, or the Bears defense. So they're gonna have to get things going now, and for that reason, I think the Patriots are not going to win this. I think they're going to be at home and they're going to be disappointed when CJ Stroud goes out there, throws nothing but bombs. I could see this being. I'm not going to give my score prediction for everyone. This is probably going to be a fairly low scoring game. So I'd go 2017. I'm going to go 2017 here. And then in the other AFC game, we have the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos, the number one seed Denver Broncos. Who would have thought? Um, Now this is a game that I'm torn because my my brain is telling me I look at what Denver has done and the run that they've been on and how godly that secondary on that defense is. It's like insane. Having one of the best, not the best, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL and having a bye week so they're fully rested. That's going to be something that my brain tells me on paper. This is probably um, Josh Allen's worst team he's been to the playoffs with. So my brain tells me Denver defense is going to chew through the the Buffalo Bills, especially with the game that we saw out of Buffalo against Jacksonville. That game surprisingly close. Really, it was really surprisingly close. And Jacksonville's defense is not as good as Denver's. I like maybe that's a controversial opinion, but it's just not for me. It's not a good It's well, not a bad defense, but it's just not as good as Denver. So everything, all the signs are pointing to Buffalo Bills lose this game, Denver moves on. But then this is where my heart comes in. And I like Josh Allen. I've always liked him as a quarterback. I was one of the people who supported him for a long time. I think he's a great quarterback. And it's Josh Allen. You know what I'm trying to say? It's one of those things where it's like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, where it's even if they don't have the best team, like it's the playoffs. Your heart is telling you to go with that person. And Buffalo Bills going into Jacksonville and beating Jacksonville in Florida, obviously high humidity, hot weather. Obviously, January, so not really hot weather, but still warmer weather. Um, and Duval being actually a fairly good stadium, going into Duval, hearing all those cheers, and it just being nothing to Josh Allen because he's been here before. He's been in the playoffs against teams with louder stadiums. He's been in playoffs against teams with more experienced players, and that right there is why I believe Buffalo wins. Josh Allen's been here. Most of that team, even though it is, in my opinion, the worst team he's had in the playoffs, there's still a fairly good amount of people on that team who's been in these high stress situations. I can't say the same about Denver. I think Denver is fairly young, which is a good thing for them, and I think they're very talented. But I gotta go with my heart here, and I think Buffalo wins this against Denver. This game, not even trying to predict the score because I'm lying to myself thinking Buffalo's gonna win, but I believe Buffalo wins this. So then we go into the NFC, and this is where bias comes in, but also hopes. Bears and number two Bears at home against the number five Los Angeles Rams. Hopes Bears win. I'm be honest. I just like I would love to see the Rams suffer. Um, but the Rams is just such a good team, and the Rams are an all around just amazing team. And the Bears pulled off one of the best comebacks in wild card history, and I believe it's the most points, the biggest comeback in the Bears postseason history. Um, so amazing. I mean, as Jordan Love should not get blamed for that game because it was not Jordan Love's fault. It was not. That game was not his fault. Four touchdowns, zero interception, 200 plus yards. in Chicago. This is not a game that should be blamed on Jordan Love whatsoever. It was terrible coaching. And I would say that a lot of people will see that game and think, okay, the Bears have a good shot, especially when the Rams had a close game against Panthers, who's not a better team than the Bears. Um, but the Rams are not the Packers. The Rams are just not going to allow Chicago to get a major comeback. If the Rams get a 2 score lead, I don't see them giving that up. Um, so it really gonna be one of those things where Chicago has to come out immediately, just shooting it, shooting it, shooting it, shooting it. And I mean, it's the Rams. The cold weather is not that big of a deal, especially when you have to go into Seattle twice a year. They've played cold weather teams this season. I guess if you really think the cold weather is going to be that big of a difference, obviously if it's snowing or something, maybe the Bears have an edge there. But it's Matthew Stafford. I mean, he played for Detroit half of his career. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's won the Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. And Chicago, I think, very young team, very scrappy team, and they deserve their flowers for what they did to Green Bay. I just don't see there being a shot in hell that the Rams blow a 2 possession, 3 possession game. So for that reason, I think the Rams are going to pull this game off. Then we get to the game that I'm obviously biased towards, which is hilarious because it's number 6 San Francisco coming to number 1 Seattle. I said that as if I live in Seattle. Um, but coming into Seattle, Lumen Field at 8 o'clock on Saturday at night. Boy, I don't think they got a shot. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna 100% like not non-biased. They don't have a shot. Bro, they don't have a shot in hell. Okay, there is no shot here. I mean, if the Chicago Bears had a shot again, whatever shot Chicago had against the Rams, the the 49ers are going to have half of that shot. I mean, losing George Kittle in the wild card game is it's just a hit. It's just a really big hit. I mean, when this team beats you 13-3 in their very last game before the playoffs, and now they face you again, and you have a piece missing, a very important piece missing, it's a big deal. Now I know there's a giant elephant in the room where Sam Darnold's injury. If you have not seen it, Sam Darnold is injured. Sam Darnold is has I don't know if it's a strain or what it is, but he has an injured oblique. Um, and I am a little worried about it. Sam Darnold has came out to reporters and said that there's a 0% shot he's missing that game, even with an injury. So Sam Darnold will play the game, and obviously that's kind of scary because it's like, man, I want to win a Super Bowl here. Can I win the Super Bowl with an injured quarterback? But we got Drew Lock as our backup quarterback. I trust him. I mean, the last time he started a game for Seattle, this man went into it was I believe 2 years ago. Goes goes into a Monday Night Football game against the Eagles, who just came off of going to the Super Bowl, being the NFC West champ. I mean the NFC champions. And beat that team in a 2 minute drill, throwing it to either rookie Jack Smith and Jigba for the win. Defense comes in, saves them. So I trust. I mean, maybe this is a form of stupidity, but I trust Drew Lock even if he's the backup. Now, do I trust Drew Lock to beat the Rams? But it's the 49ers. I could be the quarterback and I'm going to still win. Um, but realistically, I do think, all jokes aside, 49ers is a great team and they deserve credit for being this good after losing half of their roster. So I don't think it's going to be a 37-0 game. I would say I believe this game's going to be I unironically probably like 17-3 or like 13-3 like it was before. Um, I think Sam Darnold it figures out that defense. I say 2017. Again, I think this is gonna be the week of very either high scoring shootout games or low scoring defensive battles. So that is my predictions for the this round of the playoffs, the divisional round, and I will give you my little sneak peeks of what I think will happen in the future of the playoffs, just in case none of these teams make it to the next round, or and also I don't want to say a lot just in case all four of these teams do make it to the next round, and then now I kind of wasted a video. Quick speed pick: if it's Houston versus Buffalo, I have. It really depends on how CJ Stroud plays against New England, but CJ Stroud has a good game against New England. Um, I see Houston winning that game against Buffalo. And then Seattle versus Rams, 47-40. This game gonna be 200 yards, Jack Smith and Jigba, 200 yards, Puka Nakua. This game's gonna be probably my favorite game of all time in the history of the NFL. Obviously, as a Seahawks fan, I would love to see beat San Francisco, then beat the Rams, then beat the Patriots. But I think we beat the Rams. I think the Super Bowl will then go on to be Houston Rams defensive Super Bowl. Probably a low scoring Super Bowl. Either way, Seattle Seahawks fighting for their second championship. Houston fighting for the first championship. It will end in Seattle win. But that's it for this video. Um, I can't wait to start talking about the coaches situation. I can't wait to talk about the coach situation because I think New York is going to be the best spot that any coach could go in. Obviously, I do know they did just sign Harbaugh, but pretend I didn't know that. It's the best spot for any coach to go to. I can't wait for the games to start, and we're also going to talk about after the NFL season, probably just preseason bad NFL takes, maybe bad NFL takes of this of ESPN and Sports Center, and then basketball playoff starts picking up. We're gonna talk about that. Probably some professional wrestling in here. Um, but that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know how long this took me. I am so happy that I can finally get this video out. I do think that my microphone cut out a little bit in this video. Not that big of a deal. I'll probably just cut that out or put something there. But thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it if you want. Do people still share videos? I don't. Who shares videos nowadays? But if you want to share it. Dislike it. Comment. I mean, I sense leave a hate comment. Doesn't matter. Affects the algorithm. Helps me out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'm out.